What is up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got some pretty awesome new information about the Forsaken expansion coming to Destiny 2. So we've got new details about the Blind Well, a new PvE mode that we'll see in the DLC. We're going to talk about 6-player patrols, as well as this, chests, runes, and offerings that you'll find in the Dreaming City. There is going to be a brand new strike which takes place in the Prison of Elders. It has a final boss set in an old D1 arena, and Variks saying dismantle mines. I'm not going to even try and do the voice, but that is totally relevant inside of this strike. We'll talk about it in a moment. But we've got details on acquiring legendary mods, insights on weapon changes, buffs to supers, and much more. So if you guys enjoyed the video, a like below is super appreciated. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of the subjects in this video, but for now, let's jump straight into it. Starting out, let's talk about a new mode that we're going to find in the Dreaming City. I spoke yesterday about jump-in puzzles, which will lead to portals in the sky, and you'll use these to access the Ascendant Realm in the Dreaming City. Game Informer have confirmed a bunch of other stuff about new activities and content as well. So there is the Blind Well. This is Bungie's new Court of Variks, Archon's Forge, Escalation Protocol type thing, and the Blind Well is actually the name of the arena. It's housed in a huge cathedral, and Game Informer say it will allow fire teams of 3 to 6 players. And this is interesting because they also said that the devs had spoken about making it easier to get 9 players into one lobby. So what it looks like is that the raid, the patrol space, and all of its activities are actually connected, so you could load in with 6 players, head to the Blind Well, do some of that, and then head into the raid. And of course, if 6-player teams are actually there, it's going to improve the experience for the folks in the lobby as well. And this also connects to a bunch of stuff that Steve Cotton said about changes to fire teams and keeping them together between different activities. So Bungie are trying to combine the fire team groups and solo players into one space, which certainly helps with the population for completing these new events and activities. But Game Informer gave insights in their Game Informer show, and they said, like a new Court of Variks, the Blind Well is a wave-based activity. You kill a bunch of enemies, you have to stand in bubbles to avoid poison gas which floods into the space as you defend. And as time goes by and more enemies enter the bubbles, they'll start to shrink and you'll have to move to different bubbles around the arena. But while you're moving around in the arena, they say that there are energy orbs you can collect which will help you survive longer outside. You may need to grab these in order to head out to take down more enemies at a distance. And they also said that there are certain enemies that you can only really kill if you have a player with one of these energy orbs. So it sounds like they are on a timer. You grab one and you get a buff which keeps you alive and empowers you for a short time, but then you can daisy chain them from one to another as you move through this space. They also said you collect resources as you go, which you can use to defeat bosses. Inside of the Blind Well, there will be different tiers of difficulty, and you'll find different offerings around the Dreaming City. So this is what they said: loot caches provide offerings for players to take to the Blind Well, so there will be chests hidden around the area. It's very similar to the runes that we used to use to summon in the Court of Variks on the Dreadnought, and presumably there may be planetary materials and other items inside of the planetary chests in this space. But they also referred to a chieftain boss inside of one of the encounters in the Blind Well. These are actually part of the Scorn, and they've said before that they throw out a bunch of different totems with different kind of effects. So they have void, solar, and arc totems, but the guy in the Blind Well is going to throw out all of these at once. So essentially that boss will be throwing a bunch of different damage at you. For example, Game Informer said that the arc totem, as well as doing damage to you, actually pulls you closer to it as you try and move away, so it's a little bit like a tether. So these abilities are going to be much more engaging and interesting than what we normally see. So let me know your thoughts on the Blind Well. But next we hear about a brand new strike that is going to be in this expansion. So Game Informer said there is a new strike that starts out in the Prison of Elders. They mention a bunch of trains that you have to avoid. This is in the kind of opening encounter, but they did say that the final boss is a Prison of Elders encounter, just like a Wave 5 Prison of Elders boss from Destiny 1. They also said that you'll have to dismantle mines, just like original encounters in Prison of Elders. So essentially there is going to be a strike based around Prison of Elders as we knew it in Destiny 1. Game Informer said it is literally one of the Destiny 1 arenas, and so if that is the case, I'd be willing to bet that it's going to be the Solace Arena. This is kind of the biggest and most iconic space that there was in the Prison of Elders, really. Bungie also teased that Variks would feature in the expansion in one form or another, and so it seems pretty likely that he could feature in this strike. It'd be really cool to have his dialogue telling you to dismantle mines once again. Bungie also said that Variks would come in a form you wouldn't expect as well though. I don't want to get into crazy speculation, but hell, let's do it anyway. What if Variks is a crazy Prison of Elders strike boss or something like that? Just throwing it out there, pure speculation, but it would be interesting for sure. Next though, let's speak about weapons. We've got some new bits of information and some roundups. Game Informer confirmed a couple of new mod perks. We'll talk about those in a moment, but they did say in terms of acquiring new mods, that mods are recoverable from dismantled legendary gear. So when you break down gear, you will get the mods dropped from that piece of gear. And they said recoverable, so that sounds like you'll simply get the attached mod at the time that you dismantle the weapon. So you'll be able to delete any useless gear, but you will retrieve the mods that are equipped to it. Of course, we'll also have random rolls there, so alongside that, we'll be hunting for new mods which drop on weapons. We've seen two so far. We've got the Icarus mod, which increases in-air accuracy, or you have extra damage to vehicles, as Bungie had already revealed. Of course, we've learned about weapon slot changes, and we have more words from Bungie on some of that stuff. So of course, we can now have kinetic grenade launchers in the form of breech-loaded grenade launchers. Somebody asked what is going to happen to the Fighting Lion. Josh Hamrick said you'll get more white ammo consistently, meaning it'll still have the highest uptime of all grenade launchers. So Fighting Lion is going to go into the kinetic slot. It's going to be pretty interesting. They've also confirmed more year 1 weapons will be moving around, of course. Fusion rifles go in the secondary slot. Game Informer confirmed main ingredient will go in that second energy slot, and then you have Hawthorne's Field Forge shotgun, which will go in the first kinetic weapon slot. Some of these will be more interchangeable, of course. Shotguns could potentially be kinetic or energy weapons, but in the case of fusion rifles, they're always energy weapons, and they never go in the heavy slot now, so any fusion rifle is pretty much going to go into that second slot. Now though, let's talk briefly about supers and potential changes to supers coming up in the expansion. We know that there are a bunch of new supers. We definitely get a sort of equivalent amount of change to what we had in the Taken King. Of course, back then we got a full new subclass, but it was one for each character. This time around, we've got 3 supers per character. But on the subject of current subclasses, somebody did ask, super excited for the new subclasses. Are the old ones going to get a design pass before Forsaken? I'm worried that they will feel underwhelming compared to the new toys. And Claude Jerome from Bungie said, choice balance is always a major goal of ours, but just know that we aim to strictly add to your options and not to invalidate any of the existing ones. So it sounds like there will be some kind of balance pass on what is already there. Of course, it's going to be interesting because so much stuff in the game is potentially changing. You do have the new supers coming in, but then you have, time to kill changes on weapons in PvP. There's going to be new gear, new perks in the game, so there's a lot of sandbox stuff that's all of a sudden going to be going off. So I'm sure Bungie will be making a lot of even minor changes. Next though, we have more information on gear tracking moving into the Forsaken DLC. One thing to clarify is that Bungie said the collection system will remember everything you've dismantled as of May, so basically after the Warmind expansion. Game Informer have said that Bungie had that in place as of February, so some people are saying, anything obtained in February may count as well, but just to clarify, Bungie had said May. So if you are curious about any of that stuff, I would assume May personally. It may just be a safeguard with the fact that Bungie are saying that, but somebody asked a Bungie dev just to confirm all rarities and even Eververse ghosts, ships, sparrows from season 1, 2 and 3 will be tracked if I dismantle them now. And Matt McConnell from Bungie said correct, white and green gear isn't officially tracked, but will unlock in collections after a certain level. Everything else you mentioned is completely safe to dismantle. So literally everything, all of the Eververse stuff, you are good to dismantle that right now in game and it will be tracked in the new collection system. It's also interesting though, he said white and green gear isn't actually tracked, but it's basically going to have a vault, and this will unlock once you reach a certain amount of progress in this story or something. So I'm guessing for most of us, we're already going to have everything there available if we did want to pick it up. But there we go guys, that is going to summarize the bulk of this video. Of course, today is Bungie Day. If you want to check out what Bungie are actually up to, keep your eyes open around about reset time today. Check bungie.net, Bungie on any social media, and of course in game. There is always the potential that some interesting stuff will happen. DMG did confirm that any stuff that is going to happen will be happening at 10 AM PST. But if you guys have enjoyed this video, a like below is very much appreciated. Let me know any of your thoughts on this stuff. The new mode in the Blind Well, the Prison of Elder Strike, that's going to be pretty fun. I'm certainly looking forward to learning more about random roles, mods, and all of those kind of things. So let me know your thoughts as well. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe. Also turn on that notification bell next to the subscribe button if you don't want to miss any videos. Check out my sponsor, Into the AM. They have some awesome clothing in their store. Really cool all over print shirts. They do other accessories, hats, bandanas, and a bunch of other stuff. You can save 10% in their store by using code Houndish. The link for that will be down below. But for now guys, whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.